Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode called You Be the Judge. So, you be the judge, meaning we're going to debate on critical issues that the public faces because, in most cases, hard critical cases are judged by judges. So, we bring those critical changes or situations outside court on social media where you, the viewer, become the judge. You will judge this issue, not us. Firstly, we are not intended to hurt anyone else or bring bad public opinion to ourselves or to anyone else in the public. We're not there to harm. It's not our intention, but our intention is to bring hard debates between us and issues that faces the public on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So for the people, I'm gonna act or pretend as a prosecutor in court. Our court is a social media platform. Then madam on the other side, she's going to become the defense attorney who defends social media platform. So my name is Eugene. I am not a lawyer. I'm not the legal representative. I know less about law. I'm a software engineer. Yes. So, madam, please introduce yourself.
Yep, we are back again. Hello, everybody. Hello, my loves. Mina, I'm the total opposite of what he said. I'm all that he said. That's me. That's not him. That's me. But I'm not Eugene. I'm Kamu. Yes. So we're gonna be talking about something I would say it's very interesting in a sense because right now it's a drive. It's what drives our, how can I say, I put this, it's what drives our world at large. Yeah, it's one of the biggest platforms where now people get to communicate, people get to have it, to be in touch with others. It's a bigger social media. So the question is social media let me rephrase that, should social media be prohibited to 16-year-olds?
I say prohibit. Stop it. You say vula.
No,
Let it be there.
we just can't. I mean, this is the world that we live in today. We just can't prohibit.
Okay.
Yeah, but the floor is all yours, Mr. EJ.
Yes. I'm going to have 7 minutes to put in my case as an opening statement. We'll have first round to put in our opening statement. We'll have a second round to counter argument. We'll have the last round to actually close our argument.
Yes.
Comprende?
Yes, perfect, right. Perfect.
So my 7 minutes starts now. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my opening statement. Restriction. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable colleagues, the public, the issue before us is whether the current free-for-all of social media access for adolescents under 16 is defensible in light of emerging harm, the development vulnerability of young people, and the practical difficulties of safeguarding them. This platform, I submit it to you below the structure of the argument. Number one, the social media interests and vulnerability of teens. Adolescent is under 16. At the phase of rapid cognitive, emotional, and social development, social media platform amplifies peer pressure, comparison, self-image issues, and exposure to harm content. Cyberbullying, self-harm, sexual content, and addictive features. Impractical studies show young users at the age of 13 encounter harmful content on major platforms more quickly than old teens. Government are increasingly recognizing the risk, for example, in judicials where the law are processed or incited. The restriction access for under 16 is the new law, or the new legislator that's actually put in law. The regulatory rationale for restrictions access under 16. If states allow minors to access social media without restriction, then the platform are effectively providing services to a class of users who may lack capacity to fully appreciate the risk and may be more susceptible in manipulative design features. The obsession of likes that drives becomes an addictive loop. A restriction, at least a requirement of parental consent or age verification, limitation of certain features, is a proportionate means of protecting minors while still preserving access in some form of old teens. Restriction access under 16 can serve as a clear, bright line rule that simplifies enforcement and sidesteps the challenges of age verification, parental oversight, and platform moderation. Legal justification balancing the rights versus the protection. While free speech, association, and expression rights are important, those rights are not absolute, especially when minors are involved and when there is a compelling interest in protecting their welfare. The government, the regulator, must show that restriction is narrow tailored, serves as a substantial interest in the least restrictive means, and does not unduly burden the rights of minors. Given that young minors have less autonomy and capacity, the age threshold is 16 is defensible at its point at which increased autonomy begins to be reasonable, after which users may make more informed decisions. The practicality considering and enforcement. Platforms struggle to really verify the age and parenting consent, which means many under 16 years users may bypass the control system, which they do often. A clear prohibition simplifies enforcement. Industry itself regulate has been shown to have weakness. For example, courts have ordered big platforms to shut child exploitation accounts. A restriction may stipulate platforms to design safeguard default settings and more robust moderation for young users. Now, in addition to what I'm talking about, the so-called big social media platforms has a lot of technology, has invested a lot of technology in restricting young teens to actually access accounts. But what they're not using, they're not investing a lot of money to make sure that their platforms can detect if this person is young or old. That's when they're missing. So the so-called prohibition of restrictions for young teen users, saying that before you access the social media platform, you must declare. Anyone else can lie under declaration. Because if you're not, there's no oath taken. Anyone else can lie on social media and say, I am above the restricted age. I was born in the 1990s, get 1K, and therefore I should have access to this. But what they're not doing, and this is a responsibility of the government, especially the government, it's also called South African government under the Department of Education, is giving teens access to internet through tablets, saying that tablets should be a tool, educational tool that they need to use from home. But they're not putting restriction access use to explicit content. They're not putting restrictions that they need to access. Our very same so-called government is giving people free Wi-Fi in public platform, unrestricted, in a limitation of 1 gig. 1 gig can be accessed about 30 to 40 pornographic sites, even content, pictures, and videos under 1 gig. And also, because of so dumb as old technology, it says in a space of this, and the system limits one IP address to 1 gig. I can change IP addresses and have access about 10 gigs of pornographic content. This is a thinking capacity of a 16-year-old who's not fully developed, still under supervision of the parents. A 16-year-old individual has not yet accessed his full potential as a human being, because things are now starting to grow. Feelings are starting to develop. This person becomes self-conscious of their body. Things grow up, things grow side on a side, and the armors, things grow side. The body is reshaping, reforming in a different way. In addition, we're bombarding a student, the very same person who's experiencing change in the body, access to social media, harmful content, harmful platform. Thank you. That's my opening statement. Yeah, what do you do at the minute?
Okay, I think this is my turn.
Yes.
Right.
7 minutes.
We may begin. I think this is more of a discussion that it should be of a debate, because now we're talking about a huge drive that is driving our world right now, and minors, kids. So I feel like if we could have just assembled it as a discussion rather than a debate, but we are here. Let's make the best of it. So in my opening statement, I would say that I'm going to give you just a brief summary. No? So a 16-year-old is still a minor, not fully an adult, because they're far from being 18 years old by that particular time. But now, here's the catch. In the legal position of a 16-year-old in South Africa, they can be criminally liable or criminally responsible. They can be charged, tried, and punished. Ne? So, but treated as the child offenders, which they don't serve like you're fully adult, and they go to prison and serve a sentence and stuff. No, they are treated as minors in a sense that they get punished, only get punished. So a 16-year-old, let's not also forget that a 16-year-old in South Africa is able to give consent. Ne? In what sense? Consent to medical treatment without parents. That's number one. Consent to an HIV test. Consent to sexual activity with someone close in age, of which the law agrees to that. And also to apply for an ID. Ne? And also open certain banks. They can also open certain banks when you're 16-year-old. So when we look at the social media platforms and everything else that has to do with the 16-year-old, I would say there are a lot of beneficial things that a 16-year-old or less can benefit from the social media. One being that, before I go further, parents, they have the opportunity to say that whenever I'm buying a gadget for a child, there are privacy, you guys, body IT, you guys know it.
Yeah.
Privacy and data.
Settings.
Yes, settings to say that there are some certain content that a child is not supposed to be watching. So you already know that you can set some of the things. Same goes to DSTV, you can, So I think technology is very flexible in that particular manner, whereby not everything should be prohibited for a 16-year-old. Because now we're living in a world whereby the more you hide stuff from minors, it's the more they become, interested. It grabs so much attention. The minute you say do not, it's the more that they do. You understand my point? So I would say that in everything, there's an educational chance to learn something from something. It's not always bad as we would make it look right now. It's not as bad. But there is like a gap of which we can educate, we can learn, and we just can manage all of this for a 16-year-old. That's my opinion for now. I'll leave it at that. Comrade, thank you.
You've got 3 minutes left.
No, thank you.
All right. So I have my 7 minutes. I need to counter. Here's my 7 minutes. Thank you very much in April, in May. What my colleague over here, the defense team, he spoke about educational chance to learn something. See, I like it for the fact because of, you said, giving access to under 16-year-olds and 16-year-old teens is an access for educational to learn something new. What you didn't say is that it's access for sexual offenders to lure the very under 16-year-olds, to catch them on the other side with the interest of money, with the interest of whatever. That's the chance you're giving them. That's the education. The chance that you're talking about, which you're not mentioning, is the chance to give teens access to learn sexual content, sexual practices, to have sex at a young age. The results becomes teen pregnancy. KZN last year has put out a scary content results stats to say about 85,000 kids are being impregnated at under the age of 18 and 16 years old. Where do they learn to know that sexual content? From the chance you spoke about, that's where they learn. The education that you gave them by giving them access to pornographic content, to say you can have sex without protection, nothing will happen. But the risk involved in your defense strategies to say giving educational chance is giving educational chances to people to get pregnant at an early age. That he didn't say. Now, the government needs to regulate internet pipelines which connect to South African land and give us access to social media. The so-called government, which pulls out content and stats about child pornography, child bullying, child what, it's not using its very own stat against itself to actually protect what it has already researched. So giving access to teens, it's beyond over government content, government responsibility. It's a government responsibility after they have made the research. That you didn't mention. The government gives people free Wi-Fi access, which I already considered and I've told you, and so as tablets. Now, in the kids' exposure and risk behavior for online, high prevalence of harmful content. 43% of South African children have been exposed to violent content online. When robbery, all these things. Now there's a new trending thing called the money bag. Our kids now are inspired to go for the Woolworths money bag because of accessing Woolworths money bag is the new trending thing. That's why a teen developed and made a song about an offender who uses money bag. So giving access to these people, they actually turn what's supposed to be an educational chance to learn something new, but enforcement of trending things that leads them to being criminals. You're educating these kids to be criminals because of you showing them harmful content to be criminals. The inspiration that the under-16 gets today by you giving them access to social media, it's them becoming so-called the stomani. The people who trend, the people who have bodyguards, the people who trend and do all these unnecessary illegal activities. If you go into social media and ask a question to all under 16 and 18-year-olds, who is your next inspiration? 80% of the content people will tell you, if there's a voting poll, 6 of the top criminals in South Africa are their inspiration. How? Because of they see these people in social media platforms, which you give access to. 58% of South African child aged 11 to 17 hide what they're doing online from parents and their guardians. Methods include setting device passwords, 28%, clearing history, 21%, and going online without adults present, 11%. These are the common risks that they have. In South Africa, 25% of children have added someone online they have never met in their person, and 18% have sent a photo or video of a strange person. That's also why we need to restrict kids, because of these kids not knowing better, who is still under the supervision of a parent, can actually easily send, and the stats shows that these people have already sent content, pictures to predators, harmful. If you check the stats about kids who are transported, it's the very same group we're talking about, giving them access, a platform for people to lure them, and they transport them to other countries to perform sexual content. One of the biggest traffickers is people within courts, which they've made it's a well-court issue, that people who carry out teen and young kids pornography are liable for a longer sentence than people who carry adult content, sexual content. Meaning, people have a lot of interest in child pornography. Meaning, kids who are supposed to be restricted have access to a camera that they can shoot themselves, pictures and images, and send it to a stranger for money. And they do that. Now, Let's talk about another restriction, not only on social media. Under the umbrella of social media, the social media are the companies that actually develop games. Games where people shoot each other, meaning training these kids to be violent as they are. And turn it and say it's a game where you kill your strangers and zombies. We train kids instead of learning. The social media is teaching kids to kill zombies. Who is the zombie? The parents who's actually trying not to give them. That's the new zombie they need to kill. Thank you.
Not with the laugh again. Yo, I need a new partner. I can't do this with you.
7 minutes.
Yes, we may begin. Right. Yo, I wish I could say when it's all said and done, it's done, but never. Okay, so to go back with everything that you've said and everything that you've highlighted and also the stats that you've given to us, I would firstly like to say that there's a saying that says charity begins at home. I don't know if I'm using it correctly, but those ones who are doing language in varsities can actually DM me and say, no, you've used it in a very wrong manner. I'll gladly apologize. But charity begins at home in a sense that when you are a parent or a guardian to a child, you need to set rules, you need to set put a certain standard that a child needs to adhere to. No? Right. I cannot dispute everything that you've said and say it's wrong, because it's something that those are the things that are really taking place in the world today. And it's a very unfortunate because predators, I like to call them predators because of shame. Those child molesters and everything else, baberekisa those social media platforms to learn, like you've said, banaba, and human trafficking and there's just a lot that's going on. But also because it's the window that is open. I believe there's a window that is very wide open for these people, because you've said it yourself that these kids also give an opportunity for these people to actually come in and do whatever, because they're exposed to a lot of things. Right. So when it comes to sexual activities, especially encouraged by social media, we have sex education in primary schools. It starts from primary school. There's sex education. It's high school, then it's varsity, it's whatever. We cannot shy away from not wanting to teach because of the things that are happening. We need it's part of the curriculum at the end of the day. Primary or high school or whatever that situation might be. It's part of the curriculum. Like I said before in my opening statement, that the minute you tell a child not to do something, that's where they become more inquisitive or wanting to do that thing, and we cannot shy away from that thing to say that we are avoiding, because the more you don't teach, it's the more everything gets just blown out. It's a mess. You teach, it's also a mess. But now, how is our government assisting parents into fighting this whole thing? I believe that, like you said, that tablets, Wi-Fi, when you look back at the communication, those kids banally laptops, ne? Banally laptops, and some schools also have Wi-Fi. So laptops that are used for the sole purpose of them is for learning, because the curriculum and everything else, that's a very good thing. That's absolutely amazing. But now, how can we as Batswadi the government system to say that, how do we then do away with the exposure towards the pornographic sites, the some outrageous sites that are there that exposes these kids to some of the things that's what I'm doing, human trafficking. One, as much as a 16-year-old is liable to make an ID, go home face ID, a barcoded and everything else, the IT technicians tsarona, a 16-year-old, I think they are not really matured in that particular manner. Why not? This is my suggestion. Why not that for each and every site that is there, especially pornographic sites, allow, we are made to believe that they are legal. Some are legal. I print have heard. Why is it that for every site it's a ID? You punch in your ID, then it automatically tells you how old you are, obviously. Then it blocks you that you can access some of the sites, not just the pornographic site, but also on other sites as well. It might be very much harmful for kids. Obviously, they will try by all means to system and break it. But those are one of the things maybe they can be invented sites so that we can do away with exposure. It's not that it's something that's gonna end overnight. It's something that's not gonna end overnight. Obviously, we know that and we are aware. But we cannot do away with social media altogether. Because now remember, so like the social connections and communication, school. Baba in touch with friends, family, classmates. The education and learning part of it, the improve the vocabulary, the tusaleka mereko skolo, and the run through the smartphones. You get my point. And also there's a creativity and self-expression side of things when it comes to media from a 16-year-old. So it to start in growing the future, maybe like the programmers like yourself, so those ones that are utilizing the social media in a correct manner, you get to grow a programmer and you're going to realize that social media is going to be a career, not just for fun, but it can be a career. Encourage the digital skills, editor, the graphic design, the codings, so there are more positive aspects. Yes, they cannot be as greater or as disturbing as the bad ones, but there's also the good side of social media. But we only just need I don't know, an intervention to say, how do we best do away with the so much exposure that in the wrong side of social media to 16-year-olds or to minors? Thank you.
Your time is up, comrade. Your time is up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sum up my arguments, and that's done, right? And I will have my 7 minutes. Counting. Thank you very much. In April, in May, my learned colleague said in her second round opening statement, she said, charity begins at home, meaning each and every little thing, self-discipline, self-growth, how you were raised, what started at home. What about the parents who know less about technology? Can we blame them? Because charity begins at home by saying, I want my child to be educated. In today's world, education is when a child has access to technological equipment. Now, what happens to the charity begins at home? I would like to question my learned colleague. What did you mean by charity begins at home in a technological environment where parents who might know less because of charity begins at home? Are you saying it's supposed to be the parents' responsibility to know about something that they didn't know is just been introduced? A lot of parents were born before technology. Can we blame them? No.
Can I answer that?
But it's my 7 minutes.
Okay.
It's my 7 minutes.
I thought you were posing a question that you want an answer now.
I'm posing this question.
I've noted it down.
Counter-arguing you.
Okay.
On
no,
this.
No problem.
And the viewers will be the judges. Right? You can't. I've got a problem with this, my little colleague, about charity begins at home.
Okay.
Meaning the parents didn't do enough. It's the parents who designed the social media platform. It's the parents' education to make sure the child get the best education. It's the parents who know less. Because if you say the child begins at home, cultural education that runs through the family should be the one, that's your argument, should be the one that has to teach kids not to access pornographic content. But remember, when a 16-year-old has access to social media platform, the charity that's supposed to be at home is out because of a new word called social media, which is not restricted by your people. It's there. Their charity is to create content and to create connection between the explicit world content and the person who's supposed to be the charity that's supposed to play that person. They connect him to illicit information, exploitative information and content that is not restricted, which is supposed to be restricted. That is why a 16-year-old is supposed to be restricted from accessing social media accounts, whether they like it or not. The discipline and nature of parents stops there, cut off there. That's the limitation. The so-called charity begins at home, stops there, because of accessing exploitative content. Charity begins at home. There are a lot of kids who have committed suicide because of the desperation, obsession of likes. Likes because of they didn't know better, because of they don't know better, but themselves. They don't know what's happening within their bodies. But their obsession of likes by the so-called social media accounts and networks that you're supposed to restrict and not restricting and giving access to just kids. A lot of suicidal cases are because of the obsession of being liked. In high school, every student between the age of 13 and students of until 19, between 18 and 19, the obsession of being liked to be famous in school were there before technology was. Right? Now, because of technology is the obsession of likes and to be liked and show that when I post something is liked by over 100,000 people, that becomes an obsession. And the trending thing within the students, the more you undress, the more you become popular. That's the trending thing. And your so-called company who's supposed to restrict less clothes on the body, it's not restricting. Actually, we must push out this type of content within the South African borders if we need to safeguard the next generations of teens in South Africa. It's your social media accounts, your social media platforms, you, the defender, that does not restrict. One of the technological features of so-called iPhone is the ability to read faces, facial recognition. That technology, facial recognition technology, should read the face of a teen to say, you are too young to access social media. But they won't because of greed and to be popular. Social media accounts will never restrict under 16-year-old because of the more they restrict a 16-year-old, the lesser the popular is. You mentioned about IDs, cards. Obviously, every social media platform has access or can be infringed by hackers because of they can steal content. Now, are you saying parents must put in their child's ID number on a social media platform where it can be restricted or accessed by fraudsters and tricksters? That's a better example, a better argument for you, my learned colleagues, to actually put something like that. You say parents must use their IDs. If their IDs get stolen, then what happens? How many tech breaches have been there in big companies? People stealing data by hackers, by their very own people, by ex-employees stealing data. What about the IDs? You said you must use ID. You are extremely giving another length of people stealing content. Tomorrow, your so-called child accessing a social media platform using their ID will be married to Obeshanji Abasanji somewhere else. Abdullah will be married by someone else because they stole content that you say they must apply. It's exposure to hackers, and hackers will be there every time of the way trying to steal their IDs. Now, my learned colleague, in my closing statement, I've got 19 seconds. Oh, got 19 seconds. You set a bad example. Your argument are a bad example. You actually question charity. You didn't question the likes, obsession of likes. You want kids to use ID numbers. Such a bad person.
You're in deep shit, you. Okay. My 7 minutes starts now. I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna be very quick. I think maybe you misinterpreted what I was talking about. And it's okay. Things happen. Sometimes we just listen to respond. We don't listen to understand. And I forgive you for that. My charity begins at home is that I know for a fact that there are parents that were born before technology. That I'm very aware of. No? But let's be realistic in this particular time. Right now we have a 16-year-old, give my 1K. 16-year-old between 89, 90s. 89, 90s. Those people were not born before technology. Those people, it's the baby. It's the baby. I get about the baby. It's the baby. So it's not completely like those ones reina. Basanali the capabilities of learning. Basanali nako e ntšha gore ba ka nna fatshe and understand. Hence they are able to take chelete ba reke smartphone. You know for a fact that gore wena smartphone is how as an adult o se berekisa ho ira. O kana WhatsApp, o na le account at Twitter, o na le ya Instagram, o na le Facebook, o na le TikTok, o na le this, o na le that. You already know the kind of content that goes into a smartphone. Immediately when you take a child how and you buy one house smartphone, you already know the exposure that is there. That is a new, you're opening that child to a whole new world. So my charity begins at home. It goes to what are we parents saying? What are we actually teaching? Are we actually taking the time to say, let's sit down? I want to have a heart to, because a 16-year-old, 16, 17, 18, some things, so to be that smart to say, I want to hide some of the things from my mom so that, oh, my dad, it's like a mentality the wrong and the, you know, the right and the wrong. So me saying that, I'm gonna sit down with my child if I had a 16-year-old, of course. If I wanna sit down with my child and say, I'm buying the smartphone, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Obviously we know, hence I'm saying I'm not disputing what you're saying. I know for a fact, so some things he's gonna do them behind my back. I wouldn't know you know, or meet up with friends and batomoho the explicit sides. Those things still, I cannot stop them. But the little I can do is that giving you a foundation from Kuntlung to say, I'm teaching you 1, 2, and 3, and 4. You cannot go lungwana everywhere I am. You can't. You don't even know half of the things that they do when you're not in your absence, you know. But the little that you can do is actually share a light to say, hore, next time if I find hore when I would learn to so, I'm not gonna be lenient with you because this thing we talked about it, we spoke about it. Hence, get generation 89 to 90s, parents at this particular moment. They know they've been there. You know, they've been there, they know the dangers. Even if maybe it wasn't as bad as it was, but...
Pause.
So going forward, the example that you say, your examples are bad. Your examples are bad when it comes to the ID. That was a suggestion. I'm not an IT somebody. I'm not, you know, into the world of tech. But that was the little suggestion that I came up with. So this, for me to say that is, if you, as a tech person, you think it's a bad idea, I think you guys, as people in the tech world, should do better. You also should do better. What is your contributing towards all of this? What are you contributing towards all of this? How are you contributing towards all of this? Are you guys, lending a hand in order for all of this to be at least halved or if you guys can sit down and come up with watertight codes that do not allow such things, then what are you guys doing? What is the government doing? But we cannot do away with social media, because now this is the world that we live in. And now schools are based on social media and everything else that has to do with technology. This is the exposure that these kids find themselves into. What is the government and the technological side and innovation side of it doing to assist in all of this? Thank you very much. I'd like for my judges out there to be fair and to be to be fair, because you guys heard he literally called my ideas dumb, and I was like, okay, it's fine, it's not like you're judging me, miss. So you guys, I really hope that you guys be fair.
Yes.
But I know this is not personal. We don't take this personal. After this, we're gonna laugh. We're gonna laugh. I got chips on it. Yeah, we're gonna laugh about it.
But fairful debate, the current situation of what parents go through.
Yeah.
Yes, and you be the judge. You be the judge. This is the first time you, the viewer, become the judge of a situation.
True.
You comment, give us your judgment under comment.
You are free to do so. Give your opinions. And one thing I would also like to ask is that if you feel attached by any of our episodes, rather, and rather you don't comment, because we don't want we don't want our videos to be muted because of whatever that you felt. You rather not comment and pass. We are all adults. It makes a lot of sense. So, but we thank you in advance for all the comments and the likes that are coming. We love you. I don't know, but I don't know.
Thank you. You can end on your segment.